How did the Saxon Empire beat the Roman Empire? Okay, we're talking about the British Islands, aren't we? So let's take a look at the map before we go and discuss this further. The Saxon Empire and the Roman Empire. Okay, so here's a map of the world. We're talking about the British Islands. So this is the part of the world we're talking about. This set of islands over here. So Rome is over here in Italy. As you can see, this is Rome. This is the city of Rome. And if you go to the north and we go to the west, you cross the English Channel, you come to the British Islands. And so the Romans conquered the British Islands, not all of the British Islands. They could not conquer Ireland. They did not really go all the way into Scotland. But what is now called England and Wales and northern England, all of that was conquered by the Romans. And they built a wall, Hadrian's Wall, all the way up north. And north of the wall were the barbarians, the Picts and whatnot. And eventually the Romans left England. So what happened is the question. Did the Saxons defeat Rome? Did the Saxons have an empire? The Saxons never had an empire. And they never defeated Rome. So what happened? How come England became Anglo-Saxon? How come the British Islands came to be dominated by the Anglo-Saxon people? And today, and later the Normans. So when the Romans arrived in the British Islands, it starts around the time of Julius Caesar. The people who lived in the British Islands, they were of Celtic origin mostly. And they were defeated by the Romans. And the Romans, built garrisons and cities in the British Islands. And they conquered and ruled the British Islands. Now, in the 4th century AD, that's like several centuries have passed, and Rome is no longer this great cohesive power that it used to be. It's been an empire for like 2-3 centuries, and once you're an old empire, you kind of lose your edge, don't you? You overextend yourself. You have too many possessions, too many things to look after. You have Germania, Magna, you have Thrace, you have North Africa, you have Egypt, you have Greece, you have Gaul, you have Iberia, you also have the British Islands. How much can you administer and govern at the same time? So by the 5th century AD, what you find is that Rome is politically fragmented. Rome is under pressure by invaders. A bunch of Germanic tribes have come together, into a coalition, and they have crossed the Rhine. Where's the Rhine? Let me show you the Rhine, since we are discussing the Rhine. The Rhine is a major river in Europe. Let's go. So the way I see the Rhine is the border between Switzerland and Germany. Okay, if you go to the map, you will find that there is this river over here. This is the Rhine. Right in the middle of the Rhine, you have the border between Switzerland and Germany. And Switzerland was then, at that time, part of Gaul. The Romans regarded this land as part of Gaul. So the Germanic tribes had crossed the Rhine and they were threatening Gaul, and they did devastate Gaul. And then you also had the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths, who were doing all kinds of mischief and devastation of Rome. You also had the Vandals. You also had the Huns. The Huns, who were pressuring Rome at the same time when they were pressuring India. So Rome is under siege from all these forces. Rome is overextended. Rome is also politically disunited. Rome has ambitious governors who want to declare independence and declare themselves emperor, right? It happened a couple of times, once in the late 4th century, once in the early 5th century. What year was it? 406, 407 AD, Constantine III or something his name was a Roman governor who declared himself emperor and fought the empire itself. That sort of thing happens. So you have all these issues with Rome. And by about 410 AD, so when somebody rebels against Rome, your own governor, you have to bring in reinforcements to defeat him. And if this happens in Western France, which is today's Western France, which was then Western Gaul, then you may have to bring in reinforcements from the armies that are stationed in England. So if you take these armies out of the British Islands to fight the rebels in France, then Britain becomes undermanned, and the local tribes will try and fight the Romans. So eventually, a situation occurred by about 410 or so AD that the Emperor of Rome sent a message to the cities in Britain which were ruled by Roman governors that no more help is coming from Rome. You are on your own. So those Roman governors, etc., they declared independence. They became kings or chieftains in their own right. And then Rome comes under a new invasion. The Saxons, the Angles and the Saxons, they invade England. So Rome withdrew voluntarily. It was never defeated by the Saxons. Okay? Rome had too many problems. It eventually had to abandon England. But many Roman origin people remained in England and they became English overall eventually. And then you had the Saxon invasion. And then allegedly there was a king called Arthur who defeated the Saxons, and the invasion was reversed for a few years. And there is archaeological evidence of that as well, that the invasion was reversed for a while. But eventually the Saxons and the Angles, they settle in England, and they set up the Anglo-Saxon era of England, which lasts for a few centuries until it is replaced. So the Anglo-Saxons ruled England for close to half a millennium before, and then the Normans took over. They defeated the Anglo-Saxons. The last Saxon king was Harold. Yeah, Harold Godwinson, the unfortunate, the guy who took an arrow in his eye, and that's a whole different story. Okay, so that's the story about the Romans and the Saxons.